Hi, folks. I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Calvert alongside Father Joe Grimaldi, and we would like to welcome you to the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. Friends, I have 2 words for you. Star Lincoln. Okay, make those 4 words. Visit Star Lincoln today, either in our beautiful showroom or online. The incredible lineup of new 2022 Lincolns are back in stock, and they are ready to move. Shop online with Star Express. Swift, simple, safe. Browse for your new Lincoln from home, customize and order from home, and receive $1,000 in payment assistance. Have I told you Star will buy your car, even if you didn't buy it from us? The previously owned market is so red hot right now, we are happy to have you stop in and visit with one of our executive sales associates. So remember, you have 2 ways, starlincoln.com, or if you're in southeast Lower Michigan, you can visit us at 12 Mile Road just east of Telegraph in Southfield, Michigan. Star Lincoln, home of the Father Joe Star treatment. You ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be. I know you are.
Well, you know what? This is a good lead into this because I love comedy, and I love going.
Me too.
We are blessed to have a really, really good venue here in our area. It's called Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, and all the big names.
Do you go there?
I do.
Where is it?
It's right in downtown Royal Oak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's on East Troy Street.
Okay.
But he was one of the 3 corners, really, of originals. There was the, I think, the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store in L.A. There were 2 monsters in L.A. You either played one of those, but you didn't do the other. I never really got it, but yeah. So a lot of people, and I found we had a comic on every Thursday morning for years. Here's how it would work. The comic would usually live and base out of L.A. The owner will fly the comedian in on the red eye from L.A. overnight Wednesday night, and so the flight leaves L.A. at midnight, gets into Detroit right around 6 a.m. The comedian is picked up by a guy from the venue and driven around to the radio stations, the morning radio programs, where they do a couple of bits and tell everybody, come see me tonight, twice tomorrow, twice Saturday at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. So I'm telling you that in my days doing radio, I'm going to throw some names out at you, and you're going to say, that's impossible. No way. Well, maybe you won't. But
I trust you.
Jim Carrey.
Wow.
Jim Carrey when he was a stand-up comic. Okay. One of the strangest guys when we weren't on in the studio that I've ever been around in my life. Gary Shandling, Jerry Seinfeld, obviously Tim Allen, Dave Coulier, Mike Binder, Brad Garrett, who was the big brother and Everybody Loves Raymond, the guy that talked like that, Raymond.
Yeah, sure.
And he's the one with the Jimmy's John's commercials right now. So many funny people. So I was looking up something that I was going to ask you about when all of a sudden I was looking up something about, you won't believe it, and it made me laugh out loud, and I thought, only a Catholic kid would do this, would ask a priest this question. Can a Catholic donate a body to science? Do you know the answer?
Tell me.
Yes. You know what, though? Not the entire body. Part of the body has to go in the grave. Part of the body has to go in the grave. But it just happened to be something I was curious about. And I Googled, can a Catholic donate a body to science?
Of course.
And you can.
Yeah.
And you can, as provided whatever they do not use, you get back. And
they always get that back.
And you either, you would cremate it and then
have a funeral.
Have a decent funeral for it. Yeah. It also was a way for people to be reminded, if they were Catholic, that please sign up and be an organ donor. Okay. There's nothing about being an organ donor that will affect, the fact that you can still be buried a Catholic. Okay. So I thought kind of interesting that I would go there, being the macabre one.
Yeah, I was wondering why you're going there, but go ahead.
Well, I don't. I was looking for bizarre. I actually was looking. You know, we've done 325 podcasts.
God bless you.
Well, God bless you. 325. The meter just kicked over 326.
Beautiful.
And so, what other person would look that up?
I would donate my body to science, but they don't want it.
Well, that's exactly the way I feel about it. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. Well, you know what I would like people to get if they could take it from me?
What?
My sense of humor.
All right.
Because, by golly, I think I'm a funny guy. At least I think I'm funny, and
a
that's
lot
good.
of people in Detroit do.
And I've had a lot of time to watch a lot of really good comedians make me laugh, and I'm here to tell you that. Now, the reason why I'm going there, and I want to see if this makes sense to you, I'm going to read you a list here, and you're going to tell me what they all have in common. All
Okay,
right?
I'm going to try.
So allow me to get my list here. Here we go. I'll go so far back as Fred Allen, Dom DeLuise, John Candy, Chris Farley, Bob Newhart, Bill Murray, George Carlin, Jim Gaffigan, who you see CBS Sunday mornings, very funny guy, with a lot of kids. Jimmy Fallon, seen every night. Stephen Colbert, seen every night. Steve Carell, The Office. Jimmy Kimmel. Kevin James. Jay Moore. The list goes on and on. Bob Hope converted his wife 10 years after they were married. So the list goes on and on. What do they have in... Oh, I just gave it away. What do they have in common?
I don't know. Tell me.
They're all Catholics. They all...
So what are you saying?
I'm saying...
Only Catholics have a sense of humor?
No, but Catholic school, for whatever reason, as much as they tend to want to disparage it later in life,
Yeah.
they give all of their credit to being born and raised a Catholic and their memories of Catholic school, Catholic education.
They love it. They love it.
And I think that's something to celebrate.
I think so, too.
Something to celebrate. So there's something for us to put our hats on and just do the jig around the room here for a second.
I really think that we have to have a sense of humor.
Well, do you realize that I think I should have gone a bit further, but time wouldn't let me. I was wondering how many, and you've got to believe that there are Catholic priests that do comedy.
Oh, I think there are, yes.
Now, one of the things that's very interesting about this, and I don't want to do the entire podcast on my own here, but I have several friends that have a clean, G-rated comedy routine where kids who are 15 and older can all go. They can have like an all-ages show at like 3 or 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Dave Coulier, great friend of mine. We share our Catholic background more than anything. He went to Notre Dame here in Detroit, starred in this show called Full House, then Fuller House, and of course, Bob Saget, who just recently passed away. Don't you think that as rowdy as we could get in high school, we did pull off some pretty funny stunts, or not?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I still remember the big blue mailbox being put on top of the roof of the school. Okay. I mean, these things have happened. I never associated it just with Catholics, but I think there was always a sense of humor, a good sense of humor among the individuals going to school. I think that's a healthy thing. I think that's what, if you're trying to relate it to Catholicism, I do believe that we want to really foster that whole image of joy, happiness, and a little bit of frivolity. There's nothing wrong with that, huh? I think it's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing, and I think that lots of times, and you know people say this, they love your masses, they like going to your masses,
Yeah.
They like you, and they like your style. Sometimes people can be a little tougher on other priests.
Sure.
Some people think some priests can be a little long-winded. Come on, let's get this thing going. And we've talked about that in past podcasts. But I think people love a priest with a great sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as people start shuffling their feet, I stop preaching. You just don't want to continue after that. Yeah, I agree with you. No, I think the sense of joy and complete happiness, an inner sense of happiness, has to come across.
I think people like it at the pulpit, too. I don't think you have to have a joke during every single Mass or service.
There's a time to laugh and a time to be serious.
Right. But that's why I'm glad there are still Catholic schools, more Catholic high schools than elementary schools, because most of these comedians that I refer to did the full 12 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of us did. Not so much anymore. Not so much. And you agree with that, right?
I do.
Okay. So now...
because we don't have the abundance of Catholic schools as we once did.
Why is that? Refresh me on that.
Okay. Basically this, I think, anyway. The big numbers of vocations among nuns who at one time took care of almost all the Catholic schools, and I'm speaking about the 19th and 20th century, they were the ones that really maintained those schools. And they were very good. They were masters of the drill. They were able to teach, and at the same time, in the way they acted, very often there was some funny sides to what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so we remember these things, and later on we could joke about them, but they got the material across. They knew what to do to get that material across. And that was the master of the drill.
Right.
Drill, 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 drill. But there's a funny side to that, too, and I think we were able to pick that up as time went on. Now, we don't have as many. I think we have a lot of wonderful people, lay people, that are running these schools. But it's not the same thing.
Do you think it was the nun and the habit that made it such an easy target for people to,
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things, and not the only thing, but certainly one of the things.
It certainly made them more ominous when we were younger.
Oh, yeah. As you walk up and down the aisle, and those rosary beads would hit the wood, and you'd say, they must have wooden legs.
Or the crucifix would bong, bong, bong. And they would walk, and I remember this, they would walk with a ruler. Always in the end.
Yeah.
Tap the book, and that sort of thing, especially during tests. So, I mean, it does make for some good fodder for these.
Oh, it does.
For these comedians.
Does.
But I think at the end of the day, it also takes you back to remembering your homework and your homework with your folks and the jokes that went around about all of you at that kitchen table, those sorts of stories. And it was a lot easier for your parents to tell you, do you want me to tell Sister Kathleen Mary that you just said that to me? Yeah. Oh, please. No, anything but that. Can you imagine Bob Hope in grade school? Can you imagine? Teaching him and seeing where he ended up?
Well, some of the things
And they were quiet givers, by the way, those guys. Those guys gave a lot of money.
To the church.
Yes, they did.
But, one of the things I've always said is that as long as these guys are acting out, they're healthy. It's the one that sits in the back. But anyway, yes, kids, particularly in all-boys school, they're going to act out and they're going to make jokes among themselves and also maybe not always be obedient and things of that sort. But there's something healthy about that, too.
Yeah.
And we got to keep that in mind. It's the guy that sits still in the back and not say anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because that just tends to make me believe that they didn't want to participate. And it certainly wasn't because we wouldn't let them participate.
Yeah.
I'm still not a big believer in that. You were in the cool group. You were one of the cool guys,
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I really don't. But maybe
Well, I say there probably is a
now,
certain
granted,
segment.
I was one of the cool guys, so
but
maybe
a certain segment
kidding.
of society was like that, but not all.
Yeah, maybe it was different back then, but I do remember we had one of the greatest moments ever, I believe, was, and you certainly remember Callahan, or the Callahans.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, there were 18 Callahan children.
There were.
18.
Only 2 twins.
And
one set of twins.
The father of the 18 was also the organ player
Right.
at the school and at the church.
And he had one brother who was a priest, and that was it.
Yep.
And the mother was an orphan.
Yeah, is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, his wife.
His wife.
His wife.
Mary.
Okay, no kidding.
Mary. She
18
was
children.
Yeah.
And his brother was a priest?
his brother was a priest, and of course, the whole theory.
Father Callahan was it?
Well, they would say, "Listen,
Yeah.
we do not want our kids to be alone the way we were growing up."
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
They had no other brothers
Yeah.
and sisters, and so
Well, I had Mr. Callahan. I don't know which one of the Callahans I had. He taught Latin, and he was a football coach.
could it be John? He may be one of the older
I think it was
ones.
John Callahan, might have been. Anyway, he drove a beetle bug,
Okay.
and we were playing football. And you know, of course you do, the two buildings that are parallel to each other at Brother Rice High School in Birmingham, Michigan. Imagine you're looking down from a blimp, and you would see like two goal posts attached, and those goal posts are basically buildings with classrooms in them. The distance between those two buildings is probably about maybe 20 feet, okay? Well, we, as the football team, we got his Volkswagen, and we got it out of gear. It was a, stick shift, and we rolled it over in between the two buildings, and we just kept rocking it back and forth. Somebody was inside turning the wheel backwards and forwards, and left it perfectly parallel parked in between the two buildings, leaving about 4 inches either way for the car to get out. And so when Mr. Callahan came out to get his car was pinned between the two buildings, and he would have to start it and turn the wheel all the way to the right and go back 1 inch, and then turn it all the way at 2 inches. So we thought that was pretty funny. Guess who didn't think it was too funny?
Oh, Mr. Callahan.
Mr. Callahan, and, yeah.
Well, of course, that's only natural. There was that moat between the two schools.
Loved the moat, was a big fan.
And the sister would call brother and say, "Brother, your boys are luring our girls in the moat."
Yeah.
And so brother would say, "Sister, it's your girls who are luring our boys."
Yeah, those were the good old days. The other one that I remember, I was the mascot for a number of years when I was in high school. We were the Brother Rice Warriors, still are. And although they've made some adjustments to what I would consider to be my costume, my Native American Indian costume, but we would do the bonfire every year before the Boys Bowl, where we would play Catholic Central or one of the other schools. Long story short, what I was told to do was we would go out the week before and collect all sorts of wood from wherever we could. And I'm never, ever going to tell you where some of that wood was collected, because that would get Ken Calvert in a whole lot of trouble. Jug. Oh, how I miss
Justice under God.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's another podcast. Anyway, I just remember I had to dress up in my little thing, and everybody was outside, dun, 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 dun. And I had a flaming arrow, and I had to light the bonfire. We had it soaked in kerosene and gas, and it was in a safe place. I pulled back the arrow on my bow, and I wasn't very proficient with this bow and arrow, and we had soaked a couple of marshmallows in kerosene, and when the time came, it was my job somebody lit the marshmallows, and I was to fire the arrow into the middle of our structure, and the bonfire would begin. Well, I completely, as they say in baseball, swing and a miss, and I flew it over the bonfire into the celebrated moat, dividing Brother Rice High School from Marion High School. And I'm sure there were phone calls placed the next day.
Oh, God.
So that sort of was the end of the firing tradition with the bonfire. But that's all. That's all I got in my tank. What do you got as a prayer to get comedy out?
A little prayer. I think it's better to live with a little bit of laughter than it is to live in fear. And today, people are living in fear very often because of the mixed up world that we're in. Father God, I don't even have words for what I'm feeling. My stomach is tied up in knots. My thoughts are skipping so fast, I can't keep up. I'm exhausted, but I can't rest. My dreams at night are as stressful as my thoughts during the day. Excessive hand washing has left my skin raw. Social distancing has left me feeling more alone than ever. I could call a friend, but I'm afraid they won't understand. I need help. Please help me to calm down. Help me to stay focused on you. Help me not to be afraid. I feel paralyzed. Please take this feeling from me and give me courage, strength, and an answering and unwavering trust in you through Christ our Lord. Amen. And God bless you all. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe Podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.